no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time when night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs.
You ready? Awesome.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. This is the eighth and final session to complete the first round of debates for the Speaker's National Youth Debating Competition 2022. The last two debates have been intense, exciting, and extremely close, giving the judges a difficult time to find that winner. The penultimate one, the Grove Diamond Youth and Development Group, won by 0.1 of a percent, and they beat the West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group. This morning, another exciting debate. Last year's winner, the Cummings Lodge Youth Group, got eliminated. Eliminated by the Angois Avenue Youth Friendly Space Youth Group. And remember, these two teams clashed last year in the first round, and Angois Avenue was eliminated. Now, they came back with their A game and knocked out last year's winner, the Cummings Lodge Youth Group. Our congratulations to everyone who have participated so far and also all of the winners. This afternoon, we have our judges. Dr. Delon Fraser, our chief judge, is a passionate servant and leader and a police officer by profession. He enjoys working on committees, especially those dealing with public speaking. He has a doctorate in philosophy, a master's in business administration, a bachelor of degree in social science, in international relations, a bachelor of law, and many others too numerous to mention. He has been a distinguished Toastmasters and is secretary of the Guyana Lawn Tennis Association. Our next judge is Miss Anisha Shah Mohammed, and she is the head of our learning channel at the Ministry of Education, the chairperson of the Board of Governors of the Westminster Secondary School. Anisha has been involved in the private sector media for more than 10 years. She held the post as Chief Executive Officer in one of those media houses before transitioning to the public service. She's very passionate about her career, technology, education, gender equality, and she is a published author. She recently concluded training in media affairs, a communication engagement with Amity University, Uttar Pradesh in India, and currently pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Public Management. Our third speaker, Mr. Rion Miller, a former youth parliamentarian and best debater in our Youth Parliament 2018. He is also the senior counsel of the winning team at the Caribbean Court of Justice International Law Mooting Competition 2019. Ms. Judge Miller holds a bachelor's degree in law and is currently a second-year UWooding law student and an accomplished panelist also. Today, the proposing team is the Small Steps Big Impact Youth Organization, a group that comprises very young, exuberant, benevolent, resilient young people spanning the area from Zeelat to Virgin Nugent. So this is a West Demerara group, and these days I hear everything good is West Demerara. The organization aims to promote, nurture, and cultivate a better generation through self-development, empowerment, life skills training. They are today represented by three speakers. The first, Ms. Malika Russell, 24 years old, but from Kukwani. I don't know if we had a Kukwani in West there. The second speaker, Calvin Roberts, is from Zeelat, 27 years old. Third speaker, Gavin Thomas, 27 years old, from Bushlot, Essequibo. And I guess they're all living now in West Dem. The opposing team is Swing Star Community Developer Youth Group. Swing Star was established in 2002. It's located at West Public Road, number 58 Village, Upper Quarantine, Berbice. The aim of this group is to prepare young people in the community for a brighter, better future. Their services include counseling, testing for HIV/AIDS, computer classes, preschool programs, educating our youth on suicide prevention, and other skills, engineering craft skills. The group is managed by youths and community leaders from the area. Today, their first speaker will be Odeshwar Mobin, 23 years old, from number 79 Village. Second speaker, Cynthia Ramnarain, 22 years old, from number 52 Village. And Miss Chandrani Prasad, 18 years old, from 58th Village. The mood today is mental health issues must be a priority in Guyana. I now declare the debate open and call on the first speaker from the proposition, Ms. Malaika Russell from the Small Steps, Big Impact Youth Organization. At 209, Malaika, you have the floor.
Thank you. Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable.
Okay, false start. Let's try again. Go ahead, Malaika.
Got you.
You have to put on your microphone. Your microphone, you're muted. Test. Give me a test, Malaika. We're not hearing you. Could we check and see if she's muted?
Nope, she's on.
She's on. Malaika, there's some button you have to put on. Okay, give us a minute. Let us get Malaika audio on. Test one.
Thank you.
Okay. So our first speaker for the proposition, Small Steps, Big Impact Youth Organization, is Ms. Malaika Russell. Malaika, at 2:10, your time starts.
Thank you. Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Manzur Nadir, esteemed judges, colleagues of the proposition, members of the opposition, listening audience, a pleasant afternoon. The proposition is in firm support of the moot under consideration, which states that mental health issues must be a priority in Guyana. The key words are identified and defined as mental health by the World Health Organization is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work fruitfully, productively, and is able to make a contribution towards his or her society. Issue is an important topic or problem for debate or discussion, must, an imperative need or duty, and priority as superior in rank, privilege, or position. Merriam-Webster 2022. Our interpretation of the moot today is that the problems affecting the foundation for the effective and efficient functioning of individuals are vital to address before other difficulties in Guyana. As the first speaker, I will identify the scope of mental illnesses in Guyana. The second speaker will elaborate on the Mental Hospital Ordinance of 1930 and the impacts on society, while the third speaker will examine the consequences of these issues if not prioritized and conclude our argument. Esteemed judges, the World Health Organization noted, and I quote, 1 in 4 people in the world will be affected by mental illnesses at some points in their life, end of quote. Poverty and alcohol abuse has been identified as determinants of mental illnesses. In Guyana, 3/4 of our population lives in rural areas where poverty and alcoholism impacts 49% of the population, according to the Bargen Project. Further, in 2016, the Ministry of Public Health statistics indicated that 78,000 to 114,500 documented Guyanese, I repeat, documented Guyanese are suffering from some mental illness and require some level of health care. Esteemed judges. This figure represents 10 to 15% of Guyana's population. These are our friends, our loved ones. And further, the COVID-19 pandemic has further aggravated the situation since many persons have lost their jobs, their loved ones, and has experienced numerous inconveniences, affirmed by the director of the mental health unit, Dr. Thomas. While our people are suffering, there are inadequate resources to relatively address this problem. In Guyana, we have 14 psychiatrists, few psychologists, and only 2 psychiatric facilities. While our country is leading the world with the highest suicide rate per capita, accounting for 40.3%, and has shown an increase of 2.3% from 2015 to 2019, according to macro trends, it saddens my heart that this is a reality of mental illnesses in Guyana. As a result of the limited professionals to address the burning health issues, thousands of Guyanese are suffering. Too many have taken their lives, and thousands will continue to suffer if it's not adequately addressed. Honorable members, listening audience, this year in our transformational budget, our health budget captured $78.3 billion, of which $89 million was allocated towards mental health. This figure represents less than 2% of our health budget, not our national budget. If these issues are not prioritized, it will only be a detriment to our country. How do we expect our people to function if their mental state is not prioritized? Mental health affects the way we think, act, and behave, and therefore it must be a priority in Guyana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Malaika. And now for the first speaker from the opposition, the Swing Star Community Developer Youth Group, and their first speaker is Mr. Odeshwar Mobin. Mr. Mobin, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, honorable judges, and other distinguished personnel, viewers, all protocols observed, and I must express how honored we are participating in today's session. Honorable judges, before I respond to the first formative speaker, we wish to thank the first proposition member for the definition of mental health. What, honorable judges, is paramount that we familiarize ourselves with the meaning of the word priority. Bear in mind, according to the English Oxford Dictionary, priority means a thing that is more important than others. Our first affirmative speaker has tried to build in the minds that mental issues must be a priority in Guyana, which must not be so, as we oppose of the view, and we must care to know why, honorable judges. Despite mental health being a disease with a high burden, mental illness, especially in Guyana, has not thus far achieved commensurate visibility as compared to other trending social issues or subject matters. Honorable judges, in 2018, under the Millennium Development Goals, mental health was below for the fact that there was no justification to fill the gap that must be prioritized, because the lifespan prevalence of mental disorders, according to the World Health Organization, has been estimated to be between 12.2 and 48.6% globally. Then why must Guyana make it a priority when we have other fundamental societal ills? One of such is the increasing rate of domestic violence against women. In an article in the Cultural News dated 29th of April 2019, titled Guyanese Women Go Through an Extreme Phase of Domestic Abuse, former Health Minister Dr. Leslie Ramsani highlighted that domestic abuse against women is an obnoxious phenomenon, as the level to which it has risen has therefore become a troubling one. Most of global statistics from World Health Organization in 2017 show that 68% of women suffer from domestic abuse in Guyana, or 1 out of 4 women. If we must make mental health issues a priority, honorable judges, having these matters of much importance, we have to think wise. These are quite for health subject matters, and in fact, we should not be stunned to know that as recent as today, in an article in the Cultural News, 22nd of April 2022, the headline reads, "Husband jailed 18 months for beating wife." I must mention that even though World Health Organization consistently ranked Guyana as one of the top countries in the world with the highest suicide rates, There are no credible indicators that have multiple economic impacts in our economy. So then what must we design mental illness when it is something that has not been affecting our scale of our economy? While we have other pressing matters such as unemployment to prioritize for beautiful Guyana, especially in the rural areas. In an article in the iNews dated 15th of July 2019 titled, "Skeleton continues to face hardship after closure of sugar estate." And that is the displacing of approximately 7,000 extra workers, which estate was the main source of income in the area, leaving them on the breadline with no viable alternative options for employment. And today, citizens have not seemed to recover from that tragedy. Senior Finance Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, in his address during the virtual launch of the International Labour Organization on June 10, 2021, highlighted that closure of the estates in 2017 has resulted in great social and economic hardships in rural Guyana and Maurice, with rippling effects throughout Guyana. Honorable judges, revisiting the definition of priority, isn't this something of paramount importance? If we must make mental health a priority, these are fight for health subject matters. Honorable judges, in essence, it must not be a priority because the characteristics of the mood being addressed does not include the extent to which credible indicators can suggest and assess the severity of the burden in Guyana and to prove it is a real issue to be made a priority. My second and third speaker will continue to highlight and conclude on opposing this move. Thank you.
Thank you, Odeshwar from the Swing Star Community Developed Youth Group. And now for the second speaker for the proposition, Small Steps, Big Impact Youth Organization, Mr. Calvin Roberts. Calvin, it's your turn.
Thank you. All protocols observed. I join to further substantiate my team's argument that states mental health issue must be a priority in Guyana. I will focus on the Mental Hospital Ordinance of 1930 and highlight the impacts on society. The Mental Hospital Ordinance of 1930 speaks specifically to the National Psychiatric Hospital. It refers to persons with mental illnesses as deranged and as idiots. Since 1991, the Pan American Health Organization and the World Health Organization have adopted the Sustainable Development Goal number 3. It states that the national legislation must be redrafted if necessary so that human rights and civil rights of the mentally ill patients are safeguarded, and it should be applied without discrimination of any kind to those who are admitted to the mental facility. Honorable judges, members of the opposition, mental health is a global priority. Many countries around the world have adopted the Sustainable Development Goal number 3, which places emphasis on mental health importance, urgent solutions, human rights protection. It also encourages persons who are suffering and those who are experiencing symptoms to seek help. Most prudent opposition, Guyana has not redrafted the hospital ordinance since 1930. Furthermore, there is no constitutional law or act that focuses on improving the mental health sector, care, or rights for the mentally ill. There is no charter of the mental health rights to counter the discrimination, inequality, and stigma. Also, there is no safeguarding agency to protect rights, preserve safety, best practices such as assessment, treatment, and rehabilitation of persons with mental illnesses in both the private and public sector. Additionally, Chapter 801, Section 46 of the Criminal Offense Act needs to be reformed. It criminalizes persons with mental illnesses and those who attempt suicide. Honorable judges, members of the opposition, recently a mental health bill was proposed to the National Assembly which needs to be treated urgently and engage the cooperation and support of all stakeholders. Most learn opposition. Mental health is a societal issue. Its management requires education, acceptance, willingness to support, and receptiveness. If these are absent, it widens the base and decreases the ability to identify and effectively treat persons with mental health issues. Therefore, mental health issues must be a priority in Guyana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Calvin. And our second speaker for the opposition, Ms. Cynthia Ramnarain from the Sing Star Community Development Youth Group. Cynthia, you're on.
Honorable judges, we must not deviate from the fact that mental health is important, but also appreciate the fact that it must not be a priority for that. Because, honorable judges, together with the subject matters of concern mentioned by our first speaker, have you seen or noticed what has been happening in our country that needs urgent attention? Then let me continue to highlight why mental health must not be a priority and point out a further matter that has been hanging in the basket. Honorable judges, the high crime rate is a major part of that. The World Population Review stated that for 2022 thus far, Guyana, with a population of approximately 700,000 people, has the seventh highest crime rate worldwide of 68.74%, with the murder rate 4 times higher than that of the United States. Mr. Speaker, isn't this more important than mental health? Statistics have proven that crime is a major problem for Guyana. Mr. Speaker, the high crime rate has impacted Guyanese who are afraid to walk freely in their life. Not only are the people impacted, but the tourism sector as well. With reference to the broke backpacker article entitled, "Is Guyana a safe place to live in 2022" by S. Clear on April 19, 2023, it states that Guyana has a relatively high crime rate. This statistically makes it a dangerous country to live. Armed robberies, muggings, burglaries, assault, and rape are frequent. Armed robberies, for example, are a regular occurrence, especially in shopping areas and businesses district in Georgia. Muggings can take place in the middle of the day with guns and knives being used as a term. This article warns foreigners about the dangers that they might face when visiting our beautiful country. With the tourism rate, the tourism rate will most likely drop, and foreign investment may be discouraged due to high crime. Guyana's crime rate affects the people, businesses, and communities. High crime rate also increases poverty among families in Guyana. In essence, Mr. Speaker, the current characteristics of crime have been an issue in Guyana, has proven its severity and why it must be given precedence over mental health. As this poses a greater threat to our beautiful Guyana rather than mental health. Isn't it important to prioritize a subject matter of this nature, Mr. Speaker? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. And now for the third speaker of the proposition, Mr. Gavin Thomas. The proposition, Small Steps, Big Impact Youth Organization. Gavin, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All protocols observed. I rise to join my colleagues in support of the moot by examining the consequences of mental health issues if not prioritized. Members of the opposition, can you imagine what will become of our family structures, our communities, our country, if our people are plagued by mental illnesses, if we constantly lose precious souls to suicide, if our youth roam the street aimlessly, are we seriously going to stand idly by and not offer substantial support? WHO defines health as a state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Listening audience, did you know that your physical health can be harmed by stress and anxiety? Health experts tells us Worry causes the body to release stress hormones. This weakens the immune system. This can have an impact on your heart, blood vessels, muscles, and other systems over time. Mental illnesses increase the risk of communicable as well as non-communicable diseases and unintentional and purposeful harm. Mental health affects how we think, feel, and act. Consequently, this determines how we cope with stress, interact with others, and make decisions. Consider for a moment a mentally impaired parent. They do not have the ability to provide full responsibility for parenting. The result of irresponsible parenting will impact the next generation as the trauma of abuse and neglect manifests in psychological problems. Esteemed judges, is this a cycle we want to continue? People who struggle from mental illnesses are more likely to lose time away from work. This can impact the employer as well as the economy negatively. Additionally, poor decisions lead to poor performances, and the workplace is now forced to fix and mend conflicts. Mental illnesses can lead to increased school dropouts and persons being unable to complete their academic journey. This will only lead to a less empowered and underqualified nation. Members of the opposition, are we still saying that mental health issues should not be a priority in Guyana? Mental illness can lead to higher crime and violence rate. This is according to WHO 2022. And in order to incarcerate offenders, this is an additional expense on the government, money which could have been spent on other programs. Esteemed judges, the first speaker of the proposition spoke of the scope of mental illness in Guyana, affecting 10 to 15% of our documented population. The lack of adequate healthcare professionals to deal with the issue, and she also highlighted that Guyana leads in the suicide rate. Our second speaker highlighted the 1930 mental hospital ordinance, which was not redrafted for 92 years now. It was Eleanor Roosevelt who said, "Our human resources are the most valuable assets to the world. They are all desperately needed." Listening audience, how can we build a strong, resilient Guyana if our human resources who are to take us through prosperity cannot function effectively? Therefore, again we say, mental health issues must be a priority. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Gavin. The third speaker for the opposition is Ms. Chandrani Prasad, the Swing Star Community Developer Youth Group. Chandrani, you have the floor.
My first and second speaker would have elaborated us on why mental health must not be a priority in Guyana. But, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion to my opposing views, what extent does to gain presidency in Guyana over Guyana public? Over property in Guyana. In 2019, the humanity posted an article saying that Guyana is one of the poorest countries in the Caribbean. Yes, we agree that Guyana is developing, but 35.1% of Caribbean population that live under a poverty line. Families, especially children who live in poverty, are facing every day with rough conditions. Mental health is a fact. Mental health being prioritized over Guyanese people who are suffering in poverty. Poverty do not affect people alone. Affect countries alone. The country economies get affected as well. Investment ducking are reduced, which results in the less productive workforce. Pace. Poverty also led to unsafe neighborhood, high rate of school dropout, and homeless. When much when much emphasis is placed on on mental health, the individual attacks society, negative perception, and create a high level of stigma and discrimination towards the individual. So instead of their mental health being addressed and helped in our the situation to take take a toll on individual and can instead destroy their mental health. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chandrani. I know it was difficult because of a number of technical difficulties. So there we have it, the two groups, the Swing Star Community Developer Youth Group and the Small Step Big Impact Youth Organization debating the theme mental health issues must be a priority in Guyana. And this is the 8th debate, the final in the first round of our 2022 Speakers National Youth Debating Competition. And to tell you more about the rules of the competition is our own Public Relations Officer, Mr. Yannick December.
Comply will result in the disqualification of the team. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The rules of the competition are as follows. Each team must consist of only 3 members, all from the same youth group. Failure to comply will result in the disqualification of the team. Once a team has started the competition, no member shall be replaced. The first speaker will be the first speaker of the proposition, followed by the first speaker of the opposition, and shall alternate in this order. The time allotted for each speaker are as follows. First speaker, 5 minutes. Second speaker, 4 minutes. Third speaker, 4 minutes. And for the rebuttal, 5 minutes. The rebuttal will be done by the first speaker on each team, in the order of opposing, then proposing. No new arguments or material shall be introduced into the rebuttal. 10 points will be deducted for introduction of new arguments. A bell will be rung first to indicate that the speaker should commence. The second bell will indicate that 1 minute is remaining, and there will be a final bell when the time has elapsed. 5 points will be deducted from each speaker who does not adhere to the allotted time. In the event of technical difficulties, a speaker may be allotted additional time. This is at the discretion of the judges. Speakers may refer to notes but should not read them. 5 points will be deducted from any speaker who reads a prepared speech. Points will be awarded for reasoning and logic, originality, relevance, mechanics, articulation, attitude to opponent, development of argument, and cohesion. And finally, the judges' decisions are final. Those are your rules for this year's Speakers National Youth Debating Competition. Best of luck to our participants. Mr. Speaker? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The rules of the competition are as follows. Each team must consist of only
And today, this afternoon, concludes the first round of the debates with the proposition, the Small Steps, Big Impact Youth Organization facing off against the Swing Star Community Developer Youth Group. Swing Star is from Quarantine, and the Small Steps, Big Impact Organization is from the West Demerara. Both teams have their fans cheering them on and also cheering them on social media. And here are some of the comments. Cynthia Charles, give both sides a thumbs up for amazing jobs done. Mr. Edwards also joins in with that sentiment. Tony, these youth have done especially well. So keep it up, Mr. Speaker. Hope to see this in all communities next year and schools with juniors as well. So I can assure Tony that next year we're going to be in the regions with preliminaries before we reach to this round of debates. We have Keisha Benedict hailing that mental health is a serious problem and needs to be addressed urgently. Sarah Coelho says this is just facts upon facts. Kim Lobart endorses the theme. Also, we have Keisha Benedict hailing both teams, and Randy says, well, I wouldn't say that one because it might bias the judge. So there we have it. We're giving our debaters another minute so that they can gather their thoughts together for the rebuttal. And the moot mental health issues must be a priority in Guyana. Facing off for the opposition was Swing Star Community Develop Youth Group and Proposition Small Steps, Big Impact Youth Organization. Just checking with our timekeeper to see if the allocated time for the preparation of the rebuttal is up. So we have 30 seconds remaining, and we will start with the opposition with the rebuttals. The opposition being the Swing Star Community Developer Youth Group, and I see Odeshwar Mobin is already in place and ready to rebut. Odeshwar, you can proceed.
Mr. Speaker, firstly, the affirmative group has again tried to build in our minds that mental health issues must be a priority in Guyana, and they have stipulated details as such. But however, honorable judges, they have not included credible or substantive evidence or information to prove why the other social subject matters is of less importance. And in fact, our research has identified more compelling subject matters that requires immediate attention because the severity of such has proven to be a real burden in Guyana, which must be made a priority. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, the first speaker of the affirmative group has mentioned approximately 2% has been allocated for mental illness out of the mental health budget. But, Mr. Speaker, that is for construction of 18-bed mental health ward at the national level with Guyana population of more than 700,000 people. Honorable judges, by having such a small budgetary allocation, it is evident and clear. It is evident and a clear indication that the mood is not really an issue and convincing enough to be made a priority. Secondly, the second speaker of the affirmative group mentioned with non-communicable diseases. Honorable judges, at the United Nations General Assembly session on non-communicable disease in 2012, it was only through sustained lobbying from World Health Organizations and others that mental health issues was even mentioned. Guess what? It was not even in top 4 concerns. That ties us back to the lifespan prevalence of mental disorders has been estimated to be between 12.4 to 48.6% globally. It clearly shows that it is not convincing enough globally for Guyana to consider mental health issues a priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Odeshwar. And now for the rebuttal from the proposition, we will have Malaika Russell. Malaika?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All protocols observed. I stand before you once again to reaffirm our position that mental health issues must be a priority in Guyana. I repeat, it must be a priority in Guyana. I'd like to commend the members of the opposition in their efforts to try to convince us that mental health issues must not be a priority in Guyana. However, permit me to reassure you of why mental health issues must be a priority in Guyana. Honorable judges, mental health is a foundation for the effective and efficient functioning of individuals. The first speaker of the opposition said that social issues must be prioritized over mental health issues. Allow me to say that social issues are rooted in mental issues. And if an individual is not able to make positive, firm, and conscious decision, this can result in domestic violence. In fact, the inability of person to respect others and to try to project abuse on someone else, isn't that an unstable decision? Someone in their normal mind would find it fun to abuse someone else. So mental health, the problem is social issues. They're rooted in mental health problems. So what is more important than the foundation that affect these things? The first speaker also said that mental health is of no economic impact. I find it to be very funny that our country is leading the world. Our human resources are being lost to suicide, which impacts the workforce, impacts our lives since it's our friends and families, and further lead to mental health issues. And it's of no economic importance and the workforce is suffering. They also said that unemployment should be prioritized. And yes, I agree with you, but it's not only the persons that are unemployed that are suffering from mental illnesses. Persons that are career-oriented, we still suffer from stress and anxiety, and we need help to cope with these things, not just persons living in poverty and only the unemployed. As a matter of fact, the World Health Organization stated that every 1 in 4 people around the world will be affected by mental health illnesses at some point in their lives, not only the unemployed or the unemployed. 1 in 4 people around the world. The next speaker spoke of the increasing crime rate in Guyana, and this is as a result of mental illnesses that is impacting our decisions as individuals. As a matter of fact, my third speaker spoke on how mental health can impact the rates of violence and crime, and the second speaker also said that we should focus on tourism and making Guyana a safe space. Now, if we have persons in our communities, in our country that cannot make sound decisions, when the tourists come, what do you think will happen when they walk down Main Street and the persons decides that they're going to just go for a normal shopping spree? So therefore, in order to make Guyana a safe place, we have to invest in persons be having a sound mind and able to make conscious decisions. The third speaker of the opposition spoke of poverty. It is mental health illnesses that will keep people in poverty if they cannot be empowered and if they cannot see beyond their struggles and try to be a difference in society. In fact, mental health affects the way we think, act, and it influences how we progress in life. Mental health will also impact school dropouts, as my third speaker said. If you cannot function under pressure, then it will cause you to quit. And too many of our Guyanese has been quitting on school, they've been quitting on life, and it's time that we join voices to say that enough is enough, that we will not neglect the mental health illnesses that could only be a detriment to our country, and our people will continue to suffer unless it's a priority. I repeat and I reinforce our position that mental health issues must be a priority in Guyana. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Malaika. And there you have it, the last presentation in this first round of the 2022 Speakers National Youth Debating Competition. Our judges will now be summing up their scores, and it's been tough for the judges over the past 8 debates. At the end of this debate and the announcement of the winners, we will go to the live pairing of the teams and the topics for the quarterfinal rounds of the round of the competition. So please stay with us. We have 8 teams are going through, 7 already determined, and to be joined by the winner of this debate this afternoon. Our judges' fingers and the pencils are working feverishly. And who are those judges? Let us recap. We have Judge Rion Miller, former youth parliamentarian, best debated in Youth Parliament 2018. He also was the senior counsel of the winning team in the 2019 Caribbean Court of Justice Law mooting competition. Rian holds a Bachelor of Law degree, completing his LEC right now at UWooding, and an accomplished panelist. Our next judge is Ms. Anisha Mohammed. Ms. Mohammed is head of our learning channel. She's also chairperson of the Westminster Secondary School. She's been involved in the media at the highest level. She is pursuing a Bachelor of Science degree in Public Management, but has recently concluded an engagement with Amity University in Media Affairs and Communication. Our chief judge this afternoon is Delon Fraser, and his pencil is going like a chief judge pencil should. Delon is, I should say, Dr. Delon Fraser holds a PhD in philosophy, a master's in business administration, social science degree in international relations, a Bachelor of Law degree. He is the secretary of our Guyana Lawn Tennis Association and also a UN Peace Ambassador or Chief Judge. And I just got the signal from Chief Judge Fraser that they are ready. Let me call on Judge Miller to give some remarks before we hear the winners.
All right. Good afternoon to both teams. I would just like to extend a round of applause to both of you. I thought the debate was good. It was well researched, and I'll go straight into my comments. I thought the structure was good. I realized in both teams they identified what they were going to say, and then the speakers said what they were going to say, and at the end they told us what they've said. So I thought it was good. It was coherent. There was reference in between speeches to something a previous speaker on their own team would have said. That would have saved time, so I thought that was good. There was good reference to statistics for both teams on both sides. Good use of law from the proposition, and they also had good use of anecdotal evidence, and I thought that presentation was good. For the opposition, I recognize that they had a task, but they employed a good use of an argument style called false dilemma. So they really had no choice. They couldn't argue the other way, so they had to focus on other issues like domestic violence, crime, unemployment, and truancy. And I thought that was very strategic and that was good also. I would just like to remind both teams that you will still lose points for reading, no matter how crafty you get at it. The judges still realize that you're reading. For some, it was less obvious. For some, it was more obvious. Focus on your rebuttals. This has been a trend in this debate and some previous debates. I would advise you to have, like, the first speaker shadow the other first speaker. Let the second speaker shadow the second speaker. And at the end, each speaker submit their points to whoever is going to do the rebuttal so that you have a corpus of points. So you're not scrambling in between the session to get the points to have a good rebuttal. So I think that would enhance the quality of the rebuttal for both teams. But all in all, I thought it was a good debate, and congratulations to both teams and congratulations to the winner.
Thank you, Judge Miller. Judge Anisha Mohammed.
Good afternoon. The debate was good. I was very, very eager when I saw the topic to see how the opposition would tackle this, seeing that mental health is not just a problem in Guyana, but it's a universal problem, and it's something that we should treat very seriously. So I wanted to see what the opposition would come with and how they would defend this not being a priority. They came with some good argument. Both teams did their research. I like the fact that we got the per capita suicide rate on the proposition side, and much research seems to have been done. The rebuttals were very strong. All in all, everyone did good. We want to ensure that we, like my colleague mentioned, eliminate the need to read so much and refer to your script. So practice a bit more and try to be more eloquent in your speech when delivering at such a level. But all in all, everyone did good today, and congratulations to both teams.
Thank you, Judge Mohammed. And now for Chief Judge Dr. Delon Fraser.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon. And of course, congratulations to both teams. I concur with the comments made by my fellow judges that indeed we did enjoy this debate. We saw great research coming out from both sides. We saw really good use of authorities and of course, excellent structure. Mr. Speaker, it is my privilege this afternoon to say that today's debate was the first time that I have recognized that one of the teams took the recommendations from the previous debates, and so we saw an excellent use of the interpretation of the moot, the redefinition, and that is what they went through with. And finally, with the rebuttal, I am so pleased with the structure of the rebuttal. I've seen it, I've heard how well it was articulated by the teams, and I wish to, of course, congratulate them and give them kudos. So the task is now mine to deliver the scores. Mr. Speaker, having listened to both teams, the judges' scores are: one team got 256 points, and the other team got 193 points. This afternoon's debate goes to the proposition with 256 points. The best speaker, and my third judge would allude to this because he was actually waiting to hear the presentations of the rebuttal in order to conclusively come to a decision with this. And so this afternoon, our best speaker is none other than the first speaker of the proposition, Ms. Malika Russell. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And again, congratulations to both teams.
Thank you, Judge Dr. Delon Fraser, Chief Judge. And congratulations to both teams. We see it's getting better, but I'm sure with a change in the format next year, the work will be even harder because you have to go through the preliminaries, just like the West Indies have to play in the minor league before they get into this year's T20 World Cup. So you're going to have to play at your community level too. Congratulations again. Congratulations to the winners. And now for the draw for the second round, the quarterfinals. And we are going to be handing over to our public relations officer, or is it Mr. the public relations officer? And there are going to be 4 moots in this second round. Maybe you can tell them what the moots are, the winners who are going forward, and how we are going to do the matching. Yannick?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The 4 moots would be medical services in Guyana are adequately addressed. Environmental education is necessary in schools. Students across Guyana should be allowed to wear their preferred hairstyles in school. I love that one. And Guyana's youth should undertake registration to be heard. Those are the moots that we would today be looking at the pairing. I just want to let you know that before we get into that, Mr. CPO is standing by, and he would then hit the generate button, and we would then generate a schedule along with the teams. All right, I just want to reiterate that the Parliament Office has no control of the seedings and the matchups as usual. It will take similar to what we did in the first round, and this will be for the second round. So, Mr. CPO, could you, well, before I would just like to call the teams that won. So I will begin with today's winners, the Angois Avenue Youth Friendly Space, the Bartica Youth Group, the Golden Home Dharmic Youth Organization, the Grove Diamond Youth in Development, Cast Talent Management, the West Bank Young Achievers, the Young Professionals Youth Group, and today's winner and this afternoon's winner will be added to the pool for the matchups in round 2. So, Mr. CPO, if you would please indulge us whilst we wait for the teams to be generated. I once again would like to say it is great to see the level of interaction and the level of debates and so on. And this has been indeed a wonderful competition, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to add, and of course, it's a filler to the annual Youth Parliament. It's taking a bit longer than expected, however. I know you all are eagerly waiting for it. So it has been generated, and I would just like to read as follows. On Friday, May 20th, May 7th, Grove Diamond Youths in Development will go against Angois Avenue Youth Friendly Space. Followed by CAS Talent Management versus West Bank Young Achievers. On the Tuesday, the 24th of May, the matchup would be Golden Home Dharmic Youth Organization versus Young Professionals Youth Group. And lastly, Bartica youth group will go against the winner of this afternoon's matchup. There you have it, folks. As you can see on your screen, the teams and the matchups are there for each and every one of you to see. On the left, there, Mr. Speaker, over to you.
Thank you very much, Yannick. And on our screen, as Yannick says, are the pairing for the quarterfinals, along with the moot, everything generated through a computer program. And we are now all set for a great second round quarterfinal starting next month. Thanks again to our judges and all who have worked so assiduously in getting this competition organized and executed. See you on May 7th. Thank you.